Be the Master Gnome Wittenberg, back with the weekly upload. Today, I want to display my thinking process in chess through solving some puzzles on chess.com. Let's get started. In this position, the first thing I notice is that the bishop on e4 is a bit shakily placed. It's attacked once already and only defended once. So if I could somehow attack this bishop again, then maybe I could win a decisive amount of material. Very often I'd like to look for captures, checks, and attacks. So the capture bishop takes e4 doesn't really achieve anything after queen takes e4, or maybe even the adventurous d7 is applicable in this position. So something else has to be played. Then queen c5 and queen e3 check come to mind. Queen e3 check even more perhaps, because it's also increasing one attacker on the bishop on e4. So queen e3 forces king h1, the only legal move in this position since the f-file is covered by the rook. And then queen takes e4, queen takes e4, bishop takes e4 is winning a piece. However, it's very important not to finish calculating the variation too early. And here in fact there would be played d7 in this position, and black has to give away the rook for the pawn, or the pawn promotes into a queen. So we have to look for an alternative idea. So queen e3, king h1. Let's continue the variation from here. Does black have any resources we haven't seen? Perhaps a move like queen e2 makes a lot of sense. Attacking the rook on d1, this little intermezzo, yeah, queen e2. And then potentially there are ideas of rook f1 checkmate. For instance, after queen b3 defending the rook, there would be rook f1 checkmate. And that is applicable for all squares the rook moves to. Well, not counting the g1 square. So queen e3, king h1, queen e2, rook g1. And then in that position, queen takes e4 is winning, I think. Since the rook is now on g1 as opposed to d1 and is no longer helping this pawn on d6 be pushed to d7 and d8, yeah? No longer giving its all into this pawn. So queen e3 wins the game, followed by queen e2. And then queen takes e4. We trade off the queens. And we're up a bishop in this position. Let's go on to the next puzzle. Bishop takes f3 is played. Alright. In this position, how is it material-wise? We are down to knights. So it appears as if we are not giving checkmate in this position, then white is in trouble. Or trapping the queen, but that looks a bit unrealistic for the moment being. The first move that comes to mind is bishop a5 check. Giving a check on the king, and it's a forcing move. Do I have any captures? Probably not. Rook takes f3, nor queen takes e5 look like sensible alternatives. So I believe it's something else. And the checks are a bit more forcing than captures, so I'm gonna start calculating the checks first. Bishop a5, let's say king b8, and then rook takes d6. Threatening to mate on d8 is one of the options I'm considering here. The other option is queen a5, king b8 runs into queen d8 checkmate, so that's a very convenient detail. And if something along the lines of b6, then I also take on a7, and if king d8 there, then this is also mate, queen b8. So queen a5, the king has to go to c6, and from here maybe there could be some sort of attack on the king, I'm not sure yet. Though the king looks a bit precarious after queen a5, king c6. And the move like queen c3 does indeed target the king quite a bit, yeah? And then king b6, bishop e3, king a6. And this king is on the verge of getting mated, highly evidently. So queen a3, let's say there. King b5, and is there a mate here, or is my intuition wrong? My intuition is shouting that there has to be a mate in this position, but let's see then. Let's see if my intuition is wrong. It could be. I'm only human after all, yeah? Queen a5, b6, then queen takes a7, king c6 is also an option there that is worth considering. Anyhow, for now I want to see if queen a5, king c6, queen c3, check. King b6, bishop e3 is going to be a checkmate. So king a6 or b5, both are legal moves. King a6, let's start with first. Bishop c4, b5, queen a3, king b7. Takes here king c8 and bishop e6, and there's very likely a mate to follow. But even in that position, I'm not sure though. That really looks like a checkmate to me. These variations are becoming kind of long, which it sometimes does happen in chess. And if queen a5, b6, queen takes a7, king c6, what is a viable alternative there for white? Let's see. Maybe queen a8 is the move. King c7 and then what? And then queen c8 checkmate looks highly intellectual. Yeah, simply a mate in one. So queen a5, b6, queen takes a7, king c6, queen a8, yeah? Rook b7 and king c5 or b5 look like the alternatives in this position. But they all definitely have their downsides. So if rook b7, let's say queen c8 check, rook e7. I'm trying to continue the forced variation here, yeah? Trying to explain what I'm doing. And then bishop d5 appears to win the game. Knight takes... Actually, it's not so clear. It's not as clear as it initially appears. Interesting. Though anyhow, I think bishop a5, maybe something like b6. And then there should be no mate, though who knows, queen a6, and for all I know there could be a mate there. It doesn't really look like it though. Just somehow my intuition is hinting me that queen a5 is the correct move, though bishop a5 is the viable alternative. As far as I see, these are the only two critical moves here for white. That all other moves leave black with a decisive material advantage. Okay, let's try and compare now bishop a5. What happens then? So b6, I had this genius idea to go queen a6. With the idea of taking on a7 in some positions or giving a check on c8. And it actually does look kind of smart as well. So bishop a5 could easily be the move too. Yeah, now I'm suddenly a bit confused if it's bishop a5 or rook takes or queen a5. Let's have a look then. So bishop a5, king b8, rook takes d6, let's say. Knight d7. Then I guess I could take twice, but even that I'm not sure about bishop a5 if it's correct or not. So bishop a5, king b8, rook takes d6, knight d7. Bishop takes, knight takes, rook takes. Rook takes, queen takes, bishop c5, let's say. It's hard to be sure when the position is this obscure. Yeah, I mean, both bishop a5 and queen a5 look strong in this position. That's the little issue. They both look very tempting. Let's see, queen a5, b6, queen takes a7, king c6, queen a8, rook b7. Bishop c8 wins the game then, actually. So that is probably... judging by that, queen a5 is winning. I mean, I still need to polish my calculations up a bit. Queen a5 looks much more clear than bishop a5 as far as I can see. So what I've calculated is bishop a5, king b8 in this position. Rook takes d6, knight e d7. Trying to block against rook d8, checkmate. Bishop takes d7, knight takes d7, rook takes d7, rook takes d7. Queen takes d7 since queen e5 check is met with bishop d6. And then black simply goes bishop c5 there. And then white can go queen c7, king a8, take on c5, and maybe white is a little bit better, I'm not sure, but bishop takes e4, and I wasn't sure about this position. Queen a5, on the other hand, looks a bit better for white in the sense that the black king is probably getting mated. Or black has to lose a lot of material as far as I can see. Calculated something along the lines of queen a5, king c6, queen c3 check, king b6. Most of these moves are only forced. It's a very healthy exercise to try and picture these moves in your head. Bishop e3, king a6, bishop c4, b5, queen a3, king b7, queen takes a7, king c8, queen a8, king c7, bishop takes b5, and very likely there's a checkmate there. I'm gonna have to trust my intuition. that queen a5 is the correct move. Bishop a5 is tempting, but queen a5, I'm pretty certain there's gonna be a checkmate in most of the variations. And here after b6, I thought I'd take the pawn on b7. So now I'm seeing another alternative all of a sudden, that queen c3 might not be so irrational at all in this position. Knight c6 and I go bishop d5, though maybe queen e8, and it appears as if black is holding the position together more or less. So what I intended, queen takes a7, is perhaps the best. So let's revise the options for black. King b8 runs into a mate in one, that's the simple one. Then king c6. Here I thought queen a8, king c7 back, there's a mate. And if rook b7, I thought bishop c8 should be nearly winning. Though maybe, just maybe, there is some queen f7 and by miracle black is holding on. I strongly doubt it, but it's hard to be sure. Yeah, queen takes a7, king c6, queen a8, rook b7. Bishop c8, queen f7. Yeah, not sure if there is a win there by force actually, or at least it's very invisible. This win by force here, though it could easily exist as well. I'm simply not sure anymore. Though queen takes a7, I think it's the only move to continue the initiative in this position. So sometimes, I mean, you just gotta go for it and hope for the best. And now, do I go queen a8 check or do I have something else? As far as I see, queen a8 is the move, but now I could look for alternatives. For sure, there could be something else as well. Maybe queen a8 works, maybe queen a4. I don't think so. I mean, there's a reason my intuition was shouting queen a8 from the get-go, yeah? Rook b7, bishop c8, though after queen f7, I do not see the way to win. Though intuitively, there should be a win there. So, black's pieces look a bit too pinned there for that to be survivable, but it's hard to be sure. Queen a4, king... back to c7, and I don't see anything better than queen a7. And if bishop e3 or something, then the queen is hanging, so that's not exactly ideal. Bishop d5, knight takes d5. Pawn takes, bishop takes d5, looks insufficient as well. I'll go for queen a8, which was my intention. And here I was pretty confident white is winning. But I wasn't sure if rook b7, bishop c8. What happens after rook b7 is what I was wondering about. Something that caught my attention. Bishop c8, queen f7. And then where's the win? d4 maybe? With the idea of b5. It looks winning. Though it's hard to be sure. Anyhow, I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you got some insight into how a chess master thinks. And especially if you weren't able to solve these chess puzzles. And you want to be able to solve them in the future. Smash a follow button on Twitch. I stream there, there's gonna be a link in the top of the description. And subscribe to the YouTube channel, so that more people can be able to find out this video, how a master thinks in chess. See you next Tuesday.